Let's be real, we've all been there. You've got that big, important task staring you down. You know you should be doing it, but for some reason, you just can't. Today, we are going to pull back the curtain on the real and honestly surprising reason why we all procrastinate.
Does this scene feel a little too familiar? The deadline's creeping closer, the pressure is building, and instead of diving in, you find yourself doing, well, literally anything else. Maybe it's that quick scroll, you know the one. You tell yourself, just for a minute, and then you look up and somehow half an hour has just vanished into the digital void.
Or maybe you get that sudden urge to wander over to the kitchen. You're not even hungry, but hey, that snack, it's a pretty great distraction for a few minutes.
And of course, the all-time classic, just one more episode. Your brain knows exactly what it wants, and it's definitely not that report you have to write. So, what is going on here?
Well, the reason we do all this is actually wrapped up in this massive myth, one that most of us tell ourselves when we put things off. And spoiler alert, it has absolutely nothing to do with you being lazy.
We've all heard it a million times, right? Get a better planner. You just need to manage your time more effectively. But the real problem isn't sitting in your calendar. Believing procrastination is just a time management issue, that's completely wrong.
So if it's not about time, then what is it about? Well, it all comes down to understanding what your brain is really trying to do in that moment when you choose to avoid a task.
And this right here is the big aha moment. This is the core shift we have to make. Procrastination isn't a failure of productivity, it's a strategy our brain uses to manage difficult emotions. You're not avoiding the task, you're avoiding the uncomfortable feelings that the task brings up.
You have to remember, our brains are basically ancient hardware. They're wired for survival, and that means doing two things: avoid threats and seek rewards. The thing is, in our modern world, a threat isn't a predator. It can be the emotional discomfort of a boring or challenging task.
So when you sit down to work and that feeling starts to kick in, your brain doesn't stop and ask what's best for your future self. No, it asks a much more immediate question.
And there it is. Your brain is a short-term thinker. Its number one question is, how can I feel better right now? And the answer to that question is almost never do the hard thing. It's let's get away from the hard thing.
So what is your brain actually running from? It's trying to escape the stress of a big deadline, the fear of failing, the sheer boredom of a tedious project, or that little nagging voice of self-doubt that whispers, you're not smart enough to handle it.
So for your brain, the choice becomes a total no-brainer. On one side, you have a quick, massive hit of dopamine from a distraction. On the other side, you have the delayed, uncertain satisfaction of finishing your work. Your brain is going to pick the path of least resistance for that immediate feel-good moment every single time.
Okay, let's dig a little deeper into one of the most powerful emotions that drives this whole cycle: fear. Because a lot of times, what looks like procrastination is actually just fear wearing a very clever disguise.
And these are the big three. We worry about failing and what that might say about us. We worry about what other people are going to think of what we produce. And deep down, a lot of us worry that the task will finally prove that we're just not capable.
This is why procrastination feels like such a weird form of self-protection. It's a twisted kind of logic, right? If you don't really give it your all, or if you don't even start, then you can't technically fail. You get to keep your ego safe, telling yourself, oh, I could have done it if I just had more time.
And perfectionism, perfectionism is the ultimate disguise for this fear. It sounds so productive, doesn't it? I just have high standards. But in reality, when the goal is set to perfect, the task feels impossibly huge, which makes it much easier to just not start at all. Okay, so if the problem is emotional, how in the world do we fix it? Well, the solution is way more practical than you might think. And the good news is, it's not about forcing yourself to just do it.
This right here is the single most important mental shift you can possibly make. Stop asking yourself how to get motivated. That's a trap. Instead, ask a much more practical and frankly, a much more compassionate question. How can I make this feel easier?
And here's exactly how you do that. You forget about the entire project. Your only goal is the tiniest first step imaginable. I mean, ridiculously small. Don't think, I have to write this whole report. Just think, I have to open the document. Don't think, I need to write a chapter. Just write one sentence. The whole point is to make the starting line so easy and non-threatening that your brain has no reason to resist.
Because once you take that tiny little step, something incredible happens. That wall of emotional resistance just plummets. The task is no longer some scary abstract monster, it's just a document you have open. It's a single sentence you've already written.
And this is the final, powerful truth. We have this equation completely backward. We wait around to feel motivated so that we can act, but all the psychology shows us that it's the acting, however small, that actually generates the feeling of motivation. Momentum is born from motion.
So, instead of blaming yourself for not feeling motivated, let's try a reframe. Just recognize that your brain is trying to protect you from discomfort, and then ask yourself this simple question about that thing you've been putting off. What is the smallest, most ridiculously easy step you can take right now?